Well, it's time again, boys. Episode 358 of the 3 Point Podcast, presented by Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center. Make sure you follow the Wellness Center on Facebook for all things Wellness Center. Also, congrats to Memorial on another new addition with the opening of their new urgent care facility in the Rite Aid building, the old Rite Aid building at the corner of Main and Gould. It's going to really be a great addition to Memorial, man. I mean, it's a great location in the corner of 21 and Gould, and much bigger facility. They closed down one on right across from Meyer, but this will be all inclusive. It's going to be great for the hospital.
So the one across from Meyer, like you said, that one's closed down because we've actually had to go there a couple times when we're in town with the kids.
It's still open, I think, as a doctor's clinic, but it's not
Okay.
the Memorial Urgent Care anymore. So they've
Gotcha.
consolidated everything right there at the old Rite Aid, and they're always doing something, man. What a great business in our area, really, and a underrated hospital when you think about it. It's great to have that right in our backyard.
Definitely. And with
Number
the
one
wellness
employer
center,
in the
of course,
county.
too.
Absolutely.
I see Jared's cat. Anyone watching on YouTube making an appearance again? It's good.
Yeah, he's over there sleeping. I'm kind of in the early morning. He usually is out here on the couch by himself, so I'm kind of crashing his quarters. So
get out of my space, man.
Well, we are recording this on Tuesday morning, and we're also brought to you in part by Rivals Taphouse and Grille, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, Shiawassee County Fair, and ALS of Michigan. And besides Jared's cat, we'll catch up on some other things. The one topic I wanted to bring up, I shared with you guys, shared with the rest of my family of the out-of-towners. The Argus Press selling after 130 years plus in one family, the Campbell family. I mean, we know that it's the sign of the times. We know that we knew that it was probably coming, but still, it's a stunner to me after 130 years plus in business to not stay in the family. Heck, we talked about that with the Molnar family owning Corona Hills. I mean, we've been going through a phase here recently.
Radiator Springs, man. It's they shut off the I-69 route or whatever the heck it is, and that's what's happening. It's sad. I mean, listen, I don't know if your scolding reviews have been helping lately for them for their business. Just joshing you, but no, it's sad. I don't know. I didn't know that it was this. I honestly didn't know this. It was this family-run business until, ironically, I saw this headline in the Argus Press. It's a bummer. We all remember the Argus Press maybe in its heyday, and we hope it can find some of that, back. But it's just like you teed it up. It's just kind of the reality of where this business is heading.
Yeah.
It's just the printed word is not what it once was.
Yeah, and I didn't know that it was in the I knew it was around for a long time. I didn't know it was in the same family the whole time. That's kind of impressive, honestly. And it's a shame that they don't have someone to pass it on to. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes, like you said, with Corona Hills. And this all started when the Little Caesars in Corona shut down orange cheese, right?
That's right.
This is like when it all started. I mean, I feel like there's been a few other things in there. I mean, Nick and East Field got the new turf, a field at the stadium there. That was a big change. That was an improvement. But there's just been all this stuff happening in town, and Ted, you're more plugged in than Jared or I, but that it is, like you said, it's a staple of the area. And I know a lot of people still in the area that get the paper, and I know you do, Ted. You still get the paper, and and it's still a good resource for people in the community. So hopefully, I don't know if the new owners, if what I see, they're out of Tampa. It's like a big corporation out of Tampa, so obviously they don't necessarily maybe understand how important the Argus Press is to the Owasso Corona area. So I'll be curious what their strategy is. Are they going to try and just keep it going? Are they going to try and just go like digital? What is their strategy going to be?
Well, it's funny, and we have seen this happen, especially in local news on television. It's changed. The whole way they present the news has changed. I think there's always going to be a spot for local stuff, right? Yeah. Now, is it going to be physically and newsprint? No, that's going to go away. For how long? I don't know. I don't know if it'll happen in my lifetime, but it'll be pretty damn close.
Right.
Everything is available now online. I mean, if you want to get the Argus Press or the Detroit Free Press or the Detroit News or USA Today, it's right there in front of your laptop, man. And it's immediate. You might have to pay, but you're not paying as much as you would for a paper subscription because the labor involved is much less.
Right. Yeah, and what did we hear? I mean, off the record, I'm sure he wouldn't mind us saying this, but Tony Hornis, who we talked to last week, he still knows people in the area, of course, and people with the Argus. And he said the printing presses were running because they still print off like advertisements for businesses in the area and stuff like that, right? So that's what kind of kept
the Midland Daily News. I think they print their newspapers there. Like I think that's probably how they stay open is all those different. Yeah, I mean they have that classic printing press. Wasn't an article we saw maybe 1 or 2 years ago that like showcased how awesome it was. Yeah, it's kind of it's an awesome building. It's an awesome place. I don't know what the future of it. This is my first I've heard of it. It doesn't sound good that it's owners from Florida. That sounds like maybe squeezing every last drop out of it and maybe losing some of the heart it still has. But we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, you would hope that maybe if they're going to try and keep it going, which hopefully they do. I mean, hopefully they do. That they're going to have to get, I don't know what the title of the person would be, a manager or, something, the publisher, whoever, somebody from the area, or at least somebody from Michigan, somebody who like understands the value that paper has brought to the Shiawassee County area for 100 years, but right. What's the bang for the buck? If that company isn't seeing the return, I think like you kind of said, Ted, I think there would need to be a much bigger push for digital and social media. I mean, I know you can get the Argus online, but it would have to be like, all right, whoever's going to start running this will still print a paper. Maybe it goes down to once a week, twice a week.
Right.
But we have to go all online. I mean, we have to be on Facebook. We have to be on Twitter, so X, maybe that would be what they have to try to do. But yeah.
Well, maybe we need to get the Heartbeat of Corunna guy, Sam, on top of it. He can take over and publish, right?
That's
all
true.
The local stuff.
It's a lot of work. I mean, it's not like the heyday. I mean, you talked about local news. Jared, you remember your little bit of time at Fox 17 there. I mean, when I was at Fox 17, it was starting to change. So around like 2008 to 2011, that time, there were still most of the stories we did had a photojournalist. That's what I did. And then a reporter. But it was starting to change to the quote unquote one-man band where, just one person would go out. No photog, no reporter, just one person with the camera and, doing the shooting, setting up the live truck on their own, one-man band doing it all. And that's kind of basically what it all is now. I mean, rarely in local news do you see a full-on, live truck operator and a photog and a reporter and people back at the station, like that just doesn't happen nowadays. And that's kind of what's happened to local papers like the Argus Press. So heck of a run for that paper.
And let's hope if they can keep it in some shape or form, it's legitimate, a news source, right? I mean, there's online stuff. There's a right-wing radical website here locally that draws a lot of clicks, and then there's another source called Owasso News Group that kind of is trying to do what the Argus does. But, as an actual journalist where you check facts, and you put out facts, not necessarily specific opinions, unless it's an opinion piece.
Right.
There's still room for that to me.
For sure. Because I mean, there's still a lot of people that don't get that kind of news online or even turn. They want to see it in a paper. I think a big thing, like we've talked about before, and we mostly, not all, but we mostly talk about sports on this podcast.
Right.
Is the sports paper.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of people who really they care about whatever football, basketball, spring sports in the whole Shiawassee County. And it used to be cool to be able to grab the paper, sports, and you could see all the Friday night scores. You could see all, whatever track meets and, baseball games, softball games. You could see all those score updates right there in the paper.
Right.
And so that's where it still has value, because if you don't have that, for professional sports, you go to ESPN.com, you can see all the scores, right there. But for local sports, like high school, you don't necessarily have that. There are websites now, I know, but with certain things, you don't have that updated, by the minute. And, if you can grab a Saturday morning paper and get all those scores, it is cool. And it's a shame to lose that.
I got to tell you, I've gone through a couple of buyouts in the corporate world in my life. And I got to say this, Jared was kind of joking a little bit, about when I dissed the Argus a couple times because of the sports coverage. But I got to tell you, within probably the last couple months, month, at least the last month, their coverage has stepped up on the sports side. I mean, they're killing it. I mean, and I'm thinking, when you go through these mergers or these buyouts, sometimes you put that product out there to look good. So the buyer, wants to give you top dollar.
Yes, probably. That's a sad reality, but most likely, yeah, that's probably what's happening.
Yeah.
Also, it's, when you're doing these jobs, man, football, Friday nights, basketball, Friday nights, baseball, Tuesdays and Thursdays, a little bit easier to sell your reporters on covering those stories, I bet.
Right.
True. Well, it's we'll stay tuned. We'll see what happens down the road. If the Argus stays a printed newspaper, goes specifically 100% online or what, but it's a hell of a run for the Campbell family. I do have one side note. I remember when I was a young guy in Jared's age group, and I ran a city league basketball team. I was like the player coach, and the Argus Press was our sponsor. And I remember I'd get a little bit nerved up because every year I'd have to go into the Argus Press. They were our sponsor. And I have to go talk to the owner, George T. Campbell, and say, hey, can you shell out this amount of money to sponsor our team? And he always did, so I'll always have a lot of respect for George T. Campbell and the family, for helping us out as City League basketball players.
You had to keep winning those championships too, right?
Well, that's right. That's right. We get him in the photo op at the end of the year, right? Get our picture in the paper.
Nice.
All right. Our other great partners for this podcast, they include AZee Branding Solutions, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori Shook and Associates Real Estate Services, and Nelson House Funeral Homes. I didn't mean to cut you guys off. Did you have anything you wanted to add to this catch-up portion?
Not really. just staying busy, spring sports and moving on as far as work goes to baseball and softball. We're full on baseball, softball, and thinking about the summer already. My daughter, she's already like counting down to summer vacation. Spring break got over and she's like, how many weeks, how many days left of this year? And so we're already thinking about that summer vacation.
Is she into anything like soccer or anything? I know my 4-year-old granddaughter in Detroit is playing soccer, and she had a couple goals in her first game. And you think about 4-year-olds, man, they're just buzzing all over the field. Does Claire play anything like
those
that?
Those young soccer leagues? They're just running all over the place. It's just like complete mayhem. She's right now. She's kind of like casually into stuff. She plays tennis. Mm-hmm. She does like soccer. She's really into like being outside, riding her scooter, riding her bike, and stuff like that. But she really is starting to say she wants to play soccer, and she really likes tennis. So good. I think we're gonna start like going that route. But
awesome.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're doing better than what. So I've stumbled upon a racket in my area at the local Kroger and the local TJ Maxx, where I just got off of work, probably 7 or 8 p.m. just dog tired. Literally, probably worked like what felt like 12 or 13 straight days at this point. This is right when the Pistons are playing Game 3, their home opener. I'm walking in just to get some eggs, so I can have eggs after my workout, before dinner or whatever, and as I'm walking in, I see this little girl and this mom, and it's, they're asking for money for their soccer league or whatever. And we all know that feeling when you see that, like, oh, whether it's Girl Scouts, there's no way to avoid it. There's no 2 entrances to this Kroger. As soon as I walk in, luckily they were tied up when I walked in, but I'm thinking about that the whole time of shopping. I'm gonna have to walk by these people and like tell them no. So as I'm walking out, they literally are like salesmen. Hey, sir, like they're literally like running me down. Like, okay, what's up? Yeah, hey, we're taking donations for our soccer team. I'm like, okay, cool, yeah. I'll donate. I go, I'm just like making kind of conversation with these two. Like, hey, what's your guys' team name? I asked because usually your soccer team names are hilarious. Like I remember I was the Kit Kats. You play against the Scooters. Like it was a simple question. I thought nothing of it really. The girl goes, like looks around, doesn't know what to say. The mom jumps in and goes, the Titans. Like that doesn't really seem like really. So I'm like, all right, I'll just give you the $10 here for your team. My antennas are up. This is a scam. I already know what it is. So I go to Venmo. I flip through this Venmo that they're requesting. There's no flyer. There's no table. They're basically just standing there with a thing of peanut M&Ms. They go, do you want peanut M&Ms? Like, no, I'm good. I don't really eat that stuff. So I'm just going to send the Venmo. It was like a horror movie as I flip through this Venmo. I'm like scrolling it. Literally, they've been doing soccer donations for like what? Literally, you scroll for 5 minutes of soccer donation for like literally months on months. Middle of February, they're getting soccer donations. I'm like looking at it and I'm like, do I tell these people that this is a scam? or do I just send them this money? I just go, hopefully this isn't for drugs. Hopefully this is for something.
Right.
I just send them the money and walk away. So fast forward 2 days later, they're at the TJ Maxx I'm at now.
Oh, jeez.
And again, they're hounding me again. This time they've upped their game. It's now a basketball camp with a literal laminated flyer. And again, I don't know, maybe I'm a pushover, man, but certain stuff like this, and there was no mom around. It was just two kids, this one girl again, and one of her friends. I just said, screw it. I'll give them $5, man. What does it matter? I give them $5. I move on with my life. I don't know. It just was kind of bizarre. I've never really noticed that. And what I'm realizing is maybe, Ted, you need to get in on this with your granddaughters. This is quite the racket. You love $1. This is a great way to make a few bucks, man.
use the grandkids, post up outside of Meijer, and just make up some scam. Hey, we've got a soccer team coming up.
This camp, it was a basketball camp. I'm like looking at this flyer. I'm like, this is the most made up basketball camp I've ever looked at in my entire life. It just happens to be a few days away, April 29th to 30th. I'm like, this isn't even, nobody's doing this on a Monday and a Tuesday basketball camp in the middle of the spring. But anyway, I got scammed again. It happened to me a few years ago. If you remember, when I was at Grand Valley with some former Army vet who claimed he needed a ride for $20, never got the money back.
Oh, so we remember all your scams.
What?
We remember all your scams. Didn't you go to an ATM in Detroit as well with some dude?
Well, that guy, I never ended up giving that guy money, but yeah, he tried hard. That guy started pushing me too much. And I'm like, all right, you're not getting anything. That, like, I'll be nice to these people. I don't really care. It's $5, it's $10. But once you start pushing me and like, okay, now you're not getting money. Now you're getting nothing.
Right.
That's what happened to that guy.
So it was literally the same kids?
The same girl. Like I said,
That's
it was two
crazy.
little girls at TJ Maxx. Maybe they were like dividing and conquering different local businesses in the Beverly Hills, Southfield area. But yeah, it was quite the racket, man.
This is a whole topic, another conversation we could probably do a whole podcast on, because I was going to kind of segue from that to, when you guys go to these cities, I'm sure they have them in Charlotte, obviously in Detroit, the people that are claiming homeless, they might be, they might not be, but the beggars, panhandlers, that's a better term. And we were out in Washington, D.C., in Arlington, actually, and there's a little local grocery store in the block that we stay at, and we were walking in there, and then there's a guy in a wheelchair, and then there's another guy across from him, with a tattered old backpack, and we walk in. We did walk by him, but we both felt kind of guilty, and then my wife suggested to me, she said, why don't we just buy a couple sandwiches in here, and then just hand it to him on the way out. That way, it's going to good use. And to be honest with you, it felt really good. We walked out of there and handed them the sandwiches, and they were very appreciative, and we felt good about it. So sometimes it's worthwhile, but I mean, you got to pick your spots too, because if you go to like a Tiger game or Lion game or Pistons game, they're all over the place.
Right. What's funny is I was wondering to myself, like, why do I give these? Like, because I'll be honest, anytime I have money, I do. I'm not trying to like be some badass or brag. I don't know if that's badass isn't the right word, but I remember when I went to Chicago when I was like probably 10 years old with my neighbor Scott and his dad Paul Birchmeyer. I remember thinking as a kid, like, why are we giving these people money? He would go around, give us money and have us give it to like all these different homeless people, like literally probably 10 or 15 different people on this 2-day trip. And I remember that feeling like you're talking about, Uncle Ted, where it is a good feeling when you do it. Maybe it's not always put toward good use, but I just remember a formative moment as a 10-year-old giving this money away to all these different homeless people in Chicago. Oh God! Sounds like someone taking care of a mulch job for you. But it is I don't know, it's valuable. Whatever. Yeah, some people are going to use it towards drugs. Some people aren't.
All right.
You just hope, you pray that it's going toward good use. And I think that's a smart way to do it. Just give them food.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of the shame of it is there's so many scammers out there. They've kind of ruined it for the people who are out there doing it, like for real. They really are out there because they need some help or they're in a bad spot. So they're out there asking people to help them out. But there's so many people that are out there pulling scams, it makes you hesitant to do it. And there's people, there's obviously same in Detroit or anywhere, but there's some intersections where people obviously know how much traffic there is here in Charlotte. And there's a few spots specifically that there are always panhandlers, and it's fake because like you said, you see them in different spots, same people. they use Jared's what you got caught with. They bring their kids and they're out there and they have the sign that say just got evicted. You know, you hope it's not true. I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to, poke fun
Probably
or anything.
not true.
Right. Probably not true.
Probably
but they have the
not.
sign that says just got evicted, need money for food, blah, blah, blah. And they've got their kids. Sometimes they have like a stroller and it's just covered up. So you're like, is there even a kid in there? Also, like, why do you have your kid out here? It's 127 degrees. Like what is going on right now? And so it makes you feel bad because you want to help people out because it makes you feel good. And that's part of kind of like what we're supposed to do in this life, right? Is like help out our fellow man and stuff like that.
Be
if you're
charitable.
able to.
Yep.
Right. And, you want to, so that's why, right. Sometimes it is better. Or like at a gas station, if guy comes up or whatever and says like, I need some money for gas. I ran out of gas. All right, cool. Well, let me get you gas. Here, I will, instead of giving you $20, here, I will give you gas. No. Just give me the money. It's like, all right, well, never mind. Then you must
see you
not
later.
Really need. Yeah.
Yeah, I told you guys the story going from the Buffalo Wild Wings in Detroit to Ford Field. I ran across a guy and gave him $5, and he said, "Can't you spare 10?" And I thought, "Gee, dude, come on,
right? Spare 10? Oh, why? 5's not enough, huh?"
Right.
I think I've told this story on the podcast. It was a couple years ago. Basically the exact same thing that you just went through, Jared. Walking in to a grocery store down here, and there were some people posted up outside. I forget what they were trying to raise for. It might have just been Girl Scouts, but walk up and I told my wife, I was like, you know what? They were selling like bags of popcorn, like caramel corn, kettle corn, stuff like that. And I was like, let's get some, this would be kind of cool. So go up and I said, do a little small talk. Hey girl, how you doing? Like, what are you raising money for? Blah, blah, blah. The stuff that basically you just said, Jared. And, so they give us their spiel. I was like, yeah, we'll grab a bag of kettle corn. That's cool. Let's do it. And they didn't, they didn't have like a card reader or whatever. I didn't have cash on me. So you do the whole Venmo thing. And same thing, Jared, I'd go through and I'm swiping through the Venmo and they've been doing this for months. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is just a long fundraiser. But then I'm also noticing the price. I hadn't at that point asked like how much. I was just like, yeah, we'll take a bag of kettle corn or whatever. It was like a $25 bag of kettle corn. And so as I'm swiping through, I'm looking at like, man, these people are donating like $25, $50, $75. Like, what is going on? And yeah, these bags of kettle corn were $25, $30. I mean, they were big, but it was just kind of like, what? This is kind of crazy. I almost wanted to turn on and be like, you know what? Never mind. We don't need a $25 bag of kettle corn, but
that's a pretty good profit maker right there.
Yeah.
I forgot. I was just thinking about. I forgot when I was in Arizona one time at my brother's old place. I don't know what it was because it was by this nature trail, and there just would be homeless people everywhere. So it was when he was gone for like 2 or 3 days in Denver. So I didn't have a car, so I had to walk this trail every day to like go work out or whatever. And this homeless guy that I saw a couple days now. Hey, you got any money? I was like, no, dude, I don't got any money on me. Sorry, man. I would give you some. Yeah, you do. You have money. No, I don't, dude. I don't have money. I just do it. He brought the devil out of me, man. So sometimes I guess sometimes I'm nice, sometimes I'm not. So
that's when you just bring a granola bar and here you go.
Oh, there you go.
You want some money? Here, have a little food. There you
just
go.
Just careful's with you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What a great topic, boys. Well, let's before we move on, I just want to tell you, Nelson House Funeral Homes, they're our sponsor of the week. Pre-plan your funeral. It really makes sense. Peace of mind, cost savings, easing the burden of your loved ones. Plan today for peace tomorrow. Contact the experts at nelson-house.com. All right, we're going to get back here with some sports. We'll talk some NBA with the Pistons. We'll talk some MLB with the Tigers. And maybe we'll start it off with the NFL draft right after this. All right, guys, I'll kind of tee it up for you. I mean, we're going to have opinions on this without a doubt, but it seemed to me, and I think it was pretty obvious, that the whole topic of conversation on the NFL draft this year was completely different than last year. It was in Detroit. Everything was just pumped up, a big party atmosphere. And this year, things became kind of, I don't know how you want to describe it, negative with the whole Shedeur Sanders thing. What do you guys think?
I mean, to me, it's that story is what makes the draft awesome. I mean, it's kind of a dud of a draft. If we didn't have Shedeur in this draft, it would have been maybe the lamest draft we've had in years. Mm-hmm. I thought Shedeur is a stud. Honestly, I thought he was. Obviously, we all did. We thought he's a first-round quarterback, no doubt. I thought he's going to be able to start this year in the NFL. Then
I wouldn't say we all agree with that, but go on.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Well, then, man, you should have been hammering the over 14.5 draft pick selection.
No, I'm just giving my opinion. I don't give a damn what he does. He's probably going to be an NFL quarterback, but it didn't, to me anyway.
Well,
slipping in the draft, maybe 5th round was a little bit crazy, but go ahead, continue.
Yeah, I mean, well, then the stories start coming out where he's in these. I mean, well, we knew Dion and their commentary heading into the draft. They thought they were Eli Manning, essentially. They're going to pick their spot. There's only 4 teams they want to go to. Mm-hmm. And we talked about it pre-show. It's like not everything is a race issue. This is just flat out. He didn't interview well. They didn't have an agent, so he clearly didn't understand what his actual value was. And here's the reality is once he started dropping, we all know about, remember Colin Kaepernick, remember Cam Newton, remember Jay Cutler, where it's, if these guys are not starting quarterbacks, you do not want them as a backup. It's the distraction. It's the fact that they're always going to be looking over their shoulder. I mean, I feel bad for Dylan Gabriel. Gabriel is going to have to be like Dak Prescott whenever he gets his eventual start. He's going to have to light it up. If he has 1 or 2 bad games, they're going to pull the plug on him and go to Shedeur basically right away. Yeah. To me, it was, he didn't interview well. I mean, I'm hearing stories about AirPods in his ears. I'm hearing stories about he's taking FaceTime calls middle of coach interviews. It's like, what are we talking about? I don't. Right. And they'll compare it and say, well, a lot of players have red flags where, whether it's domestic violence or whatever. Those guys are freaking awesome football players. Jalen Carter basically won a Super Bowl for the Eagles this year with a red flag like that. Shedeur Sanders is not doing that. I thought maybe he did, but clearly guys who are a lot better at evaluating talent than I am are saying no. Like he's a decent player, he's an NFL player, but he's not a franchise-changing quarterback. And you view the quarterback position in a different light than you do a defensive lineman, than you do a linebacker. Like they're supposed to be basically perfect humans. And I just from those stories I heard, and the fact that people are claiming that it's like owners colluding and they all got together and said, we're not going to draft this guy because of a few comments. Like there's no way that happened.
No way.
These guys want to win. And if they think Shedeur Sanders is going to get them to the playoffs, get them a Super Bowl chance, believe me, they're drafting him. I don't care what he says in these interviews. So it just was a fascinating story. But to me, it was no more than, hey, he didn't interview well. And 2, maybe he's just not as talented as the Mel Kipers of the world led us to believe.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the draft, I saw it was like the 2nd most watched draft ever. So
really,
obviously, everyone watches the draft. Everyone loves the draft. But the Shedeur thing probably helped. After he didn't go round 1, I bet a lot of people started watching Friday night to be like, Jesus, is he going to go 2 or 3? He didn't. So they turned it on Saturday to be like, where is this dude even going to get drafted? And yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say I like vehemently disagree with you, Jared. I don't think he was a 1st-round talent. I worked 2 of Colorado's games this year, and I'm not going to say I watched from start to finish all the other games, but because of Dion, because of Shedeur, because of Travis Hunter, if Colorado was on, you would probably turn on Colorado and be like, awesome. I'm going to watch for a few minutes. So I watched a fair amount of Shedeur Sanders this year. And I don't think he was a 1st-round talent. People that were like, he's going to go top 5. I honestly don't think Cam Ward was either, because I worked a couple of Cam Ward's games too. And I think he has all the potential, like a lot of guys do. But for him to go overall number 1, like clear cut number 1, I mean, their draft pick was in like 2 weeks ago. I was kind of like, oh, really? Cam Ward? Well, all right, I guess we'll see. But Shedeur, the thing to me was you take that, basically everything you just said, Jared, you take him not being the Trevor Lawrence or the complete home run number 1, can't miss Andrew Luck prospect at quarterback. He wasn't that. And then you add in all the other stuff like you just laid out, Jared, and that's why he slipped. If there's one league, one pro sports league in this world, in the US or, whatever, that doesn't care about race and your off the field issues and certain drama, all that kind of stuff, it's the NFL. The NFL, you can go to jail for whatever. And if you can ball, if you can win games, they're going to bring you back. Some team is going to give you a chance if you are like incredible on the football field. And I think the whole package is why Shedeur slipped. 5th round was a little crazy. I thought, maybe like 3 or 4. Right. So maybe the 5th round was a little bit like, geez. But I think That's just what it comes down to. If he would have he didn't do the combine, which there's a lot of guys now not doing the combine, but that's a good way to show, because one question about him was his physical ability. He's not super fast like some, like Lamar Jackson and some other quarterbacks. So go to the combine, show out, show these dudes what you can do at the combine. He didn't do all the interviews. He only picked and chose what interviews he wanted to do. And then he wasn't that great in the interviews. So it's kind of like you hurt yourself. If your tape wasn't amazing and you weren't like the home run #1 prospect, like some people were saying, then you need to go crush the pre-draft process, the combine, the interviews, everything. And he wasn't necessarily doing that. He also had the comments. I don't care. People say like, he was a little arrogant and stuff like that. I mean, that's just today's day and age with football players and stuff. But he did make some comments about like, you better be ready to change your culture. And if you don't want to do that, certain comments that I could see some GMs being like, I don't know. I just think his tape wasn't that great. And then he didn't crush the pre-draft process. It kind of is what it is. I don't think it was Deion. People saying they didn't want to draft him because of Deion. I don't think it was that. It was just he wasn't a home run #1 pick.
100%. You guys nail it right on the head. And part of it is there is a little bit of a twist with Neon, is the fact that playing for prime time, playing in Colorado, all the hype that came with that train put a lot more eyes on Shedeur, right? I mean, think about it. He was 13-12 as a starter.
Right,
I mean,
at Colorado.
It takes a full team, but still 13-12, the hype train really got caught up, and
right.
he probably should have been maybe a 3rd-round draft choice. Is he an NFL franchise quarterback? I guess it remains to be seen. But the whole thing on the draft that was just wild was Mel Kiper losing his mind.
I love that. That's Mel Kiper. We get lost in the, like, people are quoting and posting his old bad takes. Jimmy Clausen, he had Patrick Mahomes like the 5th or 6th ranked quarterback. I don't do you actually like listen to these guys for, man, these guys are going to be right? It's impossible to predict this draft stuff.
Right.
It's impossible.
Right.
You go to him to be entertained, and Mel Kiper is entertaining, man. At the end of the day, he's a weird cat. He's got the pizza thing where he takes the cheese off, puts mashed potatoes on it. He only eats pumpkin pie, essentially. I get a kick out of him. Like, that was awesome. Like, I can appreciate him planting his flag, getting the perfect cherry on top of the entire thing for him. He gives the Browns an A+ grade, the only A+ grade he gave. If Shedeur Sanders pans out, I mean, how do you not say, wow, Mel Kiper was right all along? Like, I think that's knowing the moment, that's rolling with it. He's entertaining. I freaking love Mel Kiper. He's the draft. He is the draft. So I had no problem with that. What'd you think, Matt?
Yeah, it was interesting because, I mean, him and Reese Davis were almost in a flat out argument on live TV. And that was a little bit, I can imagine the producer and director behind the scenes are probably like, do we cut out of the, like, what's happening right now? Are they about to start screaming at each other?
I can only imagine.
Right. I mean, he sounded a little bit like old man, get off my lawn, yelling at the clouds a little bit. He was taking it personal for sure. But right. If you go to these guys, whether it's McShay, whether it's the 100 people that do mock drafts, it's just a guess. I mean, they're really just guessing. Yes, Kiper's been doing it for a long time, so he knows what he's talking about. But you never know what these guys are going to do. If you say Shedeur Sanders is going top 5, you have no idea what's about to happen. It was more, entertainment, and it was entertainment.
Yeah, and I was fine with that. I mean, it was just the whole thing that the NFL was in cahoots. They don't know what they're doing with quarterbacks in the last 50 years. I mean, he was just going off.
Hilarious.
It was crazy.
It's hilarious. I mean, you can say they don't, because, I mean, like I said, the Patrick Mahomes thing, he was the 4th or 5th quarterback drafted in that draft. Mitch Trubisky went way ahead of him. They don't know. We don't know. They don't know. It's the hardest job to do, man. It's impossible. It's impossible to predict. You might as well have a few flamboyant takes like Mel Kiper had. Like, why not? Have fun with it.
Yeah.
Sure. What do you guys make of the prank call on Shedeur mid-draft? I'll be honest, when it came out, I was like, wow, that's kind of funny, but also extremely cruel. Then these kids were dumb enough to post videos of them doing it, where the son of defensive coordinator Jeff Albrecht is the main culprit of it. But then there's been an overreaction to it, where, like, I saw Matthew Berry is saying, like, this coach needs to be fired. Like, what are we talking about? Yes, this kid should be grounded. Maybe he should have to pay for this semester at Ole Miss. Maybe his dad should pull daddy's money should be pulled from him for a little bit. But like, what are we talking about? Like,
Right.
get fired over? I'm actually surprised the Falcons released a statement. Like, I don't know. I thought it was a little bit of overreaction. What do you guys think?
Definitely an overreaction because, I mean, because Shedeur laughed about it too. That's what I was going to say. Shedeur laughed about it. He didn't seem to care. He seemed happy to get drafted by the Browns. But then you see it come out that this happens often. Every draft, guys are getting prank called. There's an offensive lineman. I think he got drafted by the Titans. He got prank called 5 times. He came out and said, "Oh yeah, I got 5 prank calls." I mean, this is just kind of what it is. So it's kind of like, why are we doing this? What's going on?
Well, the crazy part is for the top draft choice people, the NFL gives them their own phone with a private number. So how they get access, I understand how this one happened, but other ones I don't get,
Right.
Probably similar stories, or maybe this kid is a frequent prank caller. That wouldn't surprise me. It looked like they were just having themselves a few beers and just hanging out in their dorm room, like probably going through the Rolodex of all those numbers on that thing.
Yeah.
And there is something kind of funny about it. Would I do it? Like, would I go on my dad's iPad at his job and rip that number? Like, no, that's just like, you don't do that. If I stumbled across one of these numbers, would it be somewhat funny to, I guess, call them if I was a college kid? Like, yeah, but again, it was the Shedeur situation. This guy's falling way past what anybody predicted. And you got this kid calling like he's the Saints GM. Like, there was something funny about it. But, man, not a good look for that kid. That he should get a spanking from his dad if all is right in the world. So it just you move on. Again, we're overreacting, calling for this defensive coordinator's job.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Well, yeah, we're not firing anyone over this. This is the generational thing. I mean, Ted, I'm sure you did prank calls back then. Maybe I guess I'm not sure if you did. We definitely did.
Is your refrigerator running?
Right. Prank call. That's sometimes what we did on Friday nights. If we were staying the night at someone's house, you prank call some people because you just have landlines, and it just goes to show. We did prank calls often. We did some that probably our parents would not be proud of, but we would call some like local establishments. I won't call them out, but we would order a bunch of food and have it delivered to like somebody else's house. So like the delivery person shows up to their house and they're like, "We did not order this food. What are you talking about?" And those are the similar kind of prank, but we're not sitting there recording it. This is where the generational thing. We're just having fun. It's not getting recorded. It's not getting posted on social media. It's just good old innocent fun. Would like I said, would our parents be happy with it? Probably not, but
nope.
Hey, we're just having fun. It's just a good time.
I remember my maybe the worst reaming I've ever seen a kid get was they did that right in downtown Corona. Probably was from Main Street, I'm guessing is where they ordered it from. And I was just in the neighborhood hanging with some other kids, and they were like goofing around doing this in the house. You could see them looking out the window as this pizza pulled up with 10 pizzas stacked high. The pizza delivery guy connected the dots. Somehow, I don't know whether they traced the call or if they probably looked over and saw these kids laughing in the window. They go over there, they track down the mom. Oh my gosh, the mom. Like, think of there's like 10 kids over, all the kids have to go home. This kid just getting reamed. He was grounded for like 2 or 3 weeks from it. His name was Nick. It was hilarious, man. And I just remember standing across the street, like shooting hoops, like, oh my God, I feel bad for this. His life is over.
But then you're also thinking,
but like, you learn those lessons. It's a funny gag. I mean, maybe the pizza, like there is, I guess, some casualty like the pizza place, but a typical prank call, at the end of the day, it's pretty harmless, man, even if it is during the draft.
Right.
Yeah. I got a production question for you guys. Okay, I understand the kid that made the phone call and the camera's on him, but how did they get Shedeur's video reaction?
Was like live streaming. He was like live streaming.
It was live streaming.
The draft. Yeah.
He was on Twitch, wasn't he? He was on Twitch or something.
Okay. Yeah. I was just curious. And man, I don't understand this stuff. So I was
He's
wondering
got a video crew following him everywhere.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. And part of the reason maybe why he fell. It's like, do we really want to deal with this debacle? Like as a backup quarterback? Like the Browns QB room, I can't wait to see how that unfolds. Like I said, seriously, Dylan Gabriel's over under career starts 1.5. Like I seriously think he's gonna have one start. If he doesn't light it up, the crowd is gonna be calling for Shedeur Sanders, and it's gonna be his show. I feel bad for him.
Well, and then they brought in Joe Flacco, who's a former Super Bowl MVP. I mean, he's 40 years old, okay, but like he's probably the day one starter. He's the guy that you probably want starting right now.
You would think.
And so then they brought in Kenny Pickett also, who he's nothing great, but and then they still have Deshaun Watson, who they're paying $300 million to. So it really, Okay,
I saw
cool,
somebody
Kuiper,
they described it perfectly. They're like, you know, like in a fantasy football draft, if you don't draft, it just auto drafts and it just gives you the best
Right.
player on the board. That's like what the Browns did.
They
Two
did.
quarterbacks, two running backs. Like it really seemed like there was not really a plan to what they were doing. Now they made a great trade with the Jaguars and got Mason Graham at pick number 5.
Yeah.
So I still think they had a pretty decent draft, but man, what a freaking debacle. What'd you guys make of the Lions draft? I don't think it was very flashy. I think that's what Brad Holmes is doing well right now is we don't really question anything he does. From what I didn't even know who Tyleek Williams was until we drafted him. Turns out he's like a physical specimen. Went from 360 pounds down to 320 pounds. Brad Holmes had some pretty endearing comments about him, how impressed they were with him during the process. I like how they bolstered the offensive and defensive line. I think that was, you can't ever go wrong doing that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
kind of the same thing.
ahead,
I mean, what people weren't thinking about. I mean, the edge is the big thing. People were saying we need a D end because Hutchinson's coming off that injury, of course, and Zadarius Smith right now, they're not bringing him back. Otherwise, like Marcus Davenport is the only other D end right now basically on the roster. So there's kind of a lot of question marks there. I'm sure they'll figure something out. But what I think a lot of people didn't remember is Aleem McNeil, who plays D tackle. He tore his ACL. He's not coming back until like mid-November.
Right.
So they need a D tackle. They needed a guy in the middle, and not just for that reason, but also just because you need to bolster your defensive line and have depth. I mean, we saw last year a couple injuries on the D line, and the Lions were basically calling dudes off the couch and being like, "Hey, can you please just come play for us?" So no, I'm happy with it. The kid out of the wide receiver from Arkansas, originally from Hudsonville on the west side of Michigan, people were questioning that draft pick. I think, I think it was a cool story. The, former quarterback, won a state championship with Unity Christian.
As a quarterback.
Yeah, as a quarterback, wide receiver now, cool story. I think it's more maybe them looking at the whole Jameson Williams situation. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't I know they exercise this fifth year option, but I don't think they bring Jameson Williams back. So they drafted this kid for that reason. That's maybe just, speculation for me, but no, overall they got defensive linemen. They drafted the Rutledge, the guard from Georgia is an absolute stud. I honestly think he's going to start day one. He is just completely dominant, and that was a great draft pick. So yeah, they bolstered their offensive defensive lines, and they got a couple other pieces. I think just a solid draft.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, not flashy, but they filled holes they needed to. And in Brad Holmes, we trust. We've said that many times, and let's go do it. What's the deal with Zadarius Smith? Is it salary? Is that why they don't bring him back?
I don't think he produced. To me,
Really?
I'm okay letting him walk. I mean, I don't know, man. I think he had maybe one sack in the Packers. It's like 3 or 4 or 5 games into his career with us. I'm speaking on my butt right now, but I don't know. To me, it didn't seem like he really gave us what we needed. I mean, look at that Washington Commanders game, literally giving up 50 points.
Right.
To me, I'm okay letting him walk. He's already, a little bit older. Let's give those reps to some younger guys. Is the way I look at it. Real quick on these draft picks. So Tesla, I can't get enough of this guy. This is the perfect flyer to me. Apparently, he's a physical specimen, basically tested off the charts in all the combine type stuff. I'm looking back at his, career, high school career. Won a basketball state title, football won a state title. As a quarterback, set the school long jump record. To me, I'm like, what was Tony Anise? How did he miss on this guy? How did he end up at Hillsdale? He's got to think of himself. I know he won a couple of national titles probably during his career at Hillsdale, so I don't think he really cares. But I'm like, man, how did this guy slip through the cracks? He went to Arkansas. His entire college film is like maybe a minute long at Arkansas, but I'm not sure if they know what a forward pass is. But to me, I look at this guy. Apparently, he just impressed the hell out of him. Like, let's get him working with Jared Goff. I don't know if he's probably going to be an outside receiver at 6'4". Like you said, maybe it's a Jameson Williams thing. Maybe it's like, let's just really ramp up this offense and let's take a flyer on this guy who's only been playing wide receiver for a few years, but he's a stud athlete. I love the pick. And then you mentioned Ratledge. Ratledge he started 36 games at Georgia. He only had 3 penalties his entire career. Like, and Kirby Smart, when Kirby Smart's speaking really well about you, like, I don't need to hear from anybody else. And I thought it was really interesting what Brad Holmes said. Basically, it's like you go to Georgia practices and you realize like these guys are prepared for the NFL. Like they are so intense. They're so detailed. Like, we love drafting Georgia guys. Like, that sounds good to me too. Let's take these guys in. And then one other thing I had to know, this Ahmed Hassanin, I think he's from Boise State. quote of the draft. He's on the phone with Dan Campbell, literally crying, saying, "I will die for you."
Right.
I'm just thinking to myself, where do they find these guys? It's amazing. So
He's
exciting time to be a Lions fan.
And he's the first Egyptian player ever play in the NFL too.
Yeah, pretty cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, Lions, I mean, that's a big topic always when we get into it here on the podcast. And interesting too that they open up the season, the Hall of Fame game against Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. That'll be kind of cool, even though nobody will play, but it'll still be fun.
I mean, it's still fun, to watch. It's the first football game of the year,
cool.
First NFL game of the year. So it's cool to see the Lions in that. I will say though, real quick, I know we're going to move on. The draft overall, the Bears got better. I mean, they drafted Colson Loveland. They drafted Luther Burden, the wide receiver out of Missouri. So Ben Johnson clearly has a plan. And, he's the new head coach over there. He's going to make that offense with Caleb Williams and all the other pieces that they have. Their offense is going to be no joke. We know the Packers are the Packers. Jordan Love, in theory, is getting better. They're going to be good. The wild card, I guess, is J.J. McCarthy. Is he going to be good with the Vikings? I think he will be good. We'll see, some growing pains, but the NFC North is the Lions lost their offensive and defensive coordinators. They better keep up because the Bears, I think, are going to be really good. We'll see how Ben Johnson is as a head coach, but the North is going to be tough. To think that the Lions are just going to run away with the division title again, I don't know. It's going to be a tough one.
Loveland is a great pickup for the Bears because he's kind of that hybrid type of tight end now that really can catch the ball, run good routes. But I thought I was more impressed as a tight end with the Penn State tight end. I mean, I thought that guy was a stud.
Tyler Warren. He went to the Colts. To me, what was kind of interesting is I was hearing Adam Schefter was basically saying everybody was trying to trade up, everybody was making calls, and then Loveland went off the board and all the calls stopped. Everybody wanted this guy. I mean, we saw it in a few games this year with literally no forward pass ability from our quarterbacks. In the Illinois game, I'm remembering, dude, he was like a one-man army in that second half, making plays. So I love Loveland. It's gonna suck when he's catching touchdown passes versus us. But did you guys have any other teams that draft really stood out to you? To me, it's I love the Giants draft. You got Abdul Carter, you got Jackson Dart later in the first round. I mean, you talk about what I think is a great value. Cam Scatabo, 4th round for Cam Scatabo compared to Ashton Genty, who went 6 overall. It's
that's a good pick.
I think so too. I'm extremely excited to see what his career ends up being. To me, I think he's an NFL starting running back who's going to make some plays, inspire the team in a few different ways than one, like we saw in the Arizona State versus Texas game. I don't know. I just love the Giants draft, and especially given the hard knocks from last year, how much they've been railroaded. It would be kind of a cool story to see Daboll and Shane save their job and have a great draft like this. It could be cool to see.
My take on it in the same division, the champs, the Eagles, they went 5 defensive players in the first 5 picks, man.
And they already had,
and they're just going to keep firing them away at you.
Yeah.
Yep, they knew what they had to do. I mean, you got Jalen Hurts, you got Saquon Barkley. Okay, our offense is fine. Let's just bolster up that defense, and we're just going to crush dudes. So
I'm praying they tease the schedule announcement. I'm praying we get Lions-Eagles game number 1. I think it's very possible. I just hope the NFL does the right thing and gives us that matchup opening night, Thursday night at Lincoln Financial Field. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be great.
It would be, but we keep doing this to ourselves as Lions fans. I mean, luckily a couple years ago we beat the Chiefs on opening night, so that was cool. But I don't know, man.
You want that game? If we're fully healthy, you send a message hey, you guys won it last year, but that's because we were dinged up. It's just I can't wait for the NFL to be back. I can't wait for college football to be back. I was already looking at college football betting lines. Yesterday on my day off, I was so bored. I'm gonna throw this out there. You guys tell me if I'm completely idiotic, but I saw the odds and I'm like, I don't know. I kind of like this. Illinois 30-1 to win the Big Ten. They're going to be preseason probably top 10, top 12. The only big boy they play is Ohio State week 8. If they can get to 7-0, those odds are going to drop to probably 10-1, 7-1. You can hedge out of it. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe I'm an idiot, but I seriously think there's something to be said about Illinois. Brett Bielema, they won 10 games last year. Luke Altmaier, maybe the most complete quarterback in the Big Ten. Just throwing it out there.
That's not bad. My thing is just Brett Bielema. He seems like they always slip up a game or two, that they shouldn't. Kind of like what Michigan traditionally does. They lose a game they shouldn't. But I mean, Ohio State has a lot of turnover. They're still going to be loaded, of course. The big Penn State, Drew Aller is still coming back, their quarterback.
Yeah,
so,
Aller's probably the better one. That's a good point. Yep.
Yeah. Oregon had some turnover, but they're probably still going to be good. Obviously, we got to throw out Michigan. What's Bryce Underwood going to do? But that might not be. I mean, 30. I mean, you may as well, throw $10 down or something.
$10 on it. Do I think Illinois is going to win the Big Ten? No, but I mean, compared to like Michigan at like 5-1, it's like I don't know. I mean, are they that much different of two teams with a freshman quarterback and Bryce Underwood? It's like let me throw a flyer on Illinois. They're going to be probably 12th ranked in the country to start the year.
Yeah. If I was betting, man, that's what I would look at is the 30-1. Just take a shot at it. What do you got to lose, really? Well, let's move on from football to NBA. I mean, the Pistons, just a heartbreaking loss, down now 3-1 to the Knicks. I know everybody's talking about that last call or no call. Obviously, it was a foul, but they had opportunities to win. It just didn't come through. But you do hate to see it, and it's always a topic of conversation. Man, you got to make that call. I mean, it's a foul.
Yeah, and
I don't know, man.
They come out with that.
I go back and forth on it.
Yeah.
Here's what's sad to me is one, we've been complaining. All Pistons fans have been complaining about the foul baiting all series long with Jalen Brunson. They were letting them play in that game, and Josh Hart was jumping to the side to contest. He basically was doing his best not to foul. Hardaway jumped kind of sideways. Yes, it was a foul. They admitted that after the game. In real time, I didn't hate the no call. I really didn't. And to me, what I look at is Tim Hardaway Jr., he made the right play. He made a smart play. He drew a foul.
Mm-hmm.
But he put the game in the ref's hands. Whereas the way he was shooting, the way he was playing, the way he was feeding off the crowd, to me, when that ball rolled to him in the corner and he was about to shoot it, I'm like, oh, he's going to bury this. Like, that just felt the way he was going all game. And again, he made the right play, so I'm not even upset with what he did. But just a small part of me is like, man, I just wish he would have shot this normal. I think it's going in if he just shoots it. So it just hurt my heart. And Matt, you tweeted it out, and it's like, it is a good point. Obviously, it's like Cade had a good look at the hoop right before that, just missed. Tobias Harris, great job battling to get that ball out to Tim Hardaway Jr. It just didn't go the Pistons' way. I didn't hate the no call. I think we're spending too much time on the no call. Yeah, it burns. I mean, I was stewing in it for about 20 minutes after that game. Like, God damn, just call that. Yeah. And JB Bickerstaff was lighting up the refs right afterward, but it wasn't super egregious to me, in my opinion.
It was, if you want to say bang, bang, it was bang, bang enough to not make the call, live. And then obviously they looked at the tape afterwards and that should have been called. So that's what makes it burn. It's almost like, why release these reports? Because it's like, okay, so what are we going to do with this now? Can Tim Hardaway before game 5 go shoot a couple free throws and overturn, why sometimes it's like, why release these reports? It really just like twists the blade in Pistons fans, that should have been a foul. But
in our text string, again, it's the NBA and the whole challenge thing when, Cade was saying, oh, you got to challenge this in the first quarter and they lost their challenge. Right. That's partly coaching there. I mean, you want that in your back pocket the way the NBA is. You want to, because they could have challenged that, right? If they had a challenge. And that's a little bit of a flaw, I think, in the NBA game. Maybe they need to relook at something to where in the last minute, any close call you look at or something like that. I don't know.
Now this is something that we should maybe, or I should have clear. I don't think you can challenge that. You can only challenge like if a call is made. Because the way that played out, it was just a missed shot.
You're right.
Tim Hardaway just missed a shot. The buzzer went off. So I don't think you can then be like challenge that. Like if the ball rolls out of bounds, or like if a call is made, you can then like the Anthony Edwards with the Lakers.
Right.
The ball went off his foot, so you can challenge that.
You're right.
But since Tim Hardaway just basically missed a shot, I don't think you can challenge that. And that's kind of where some of the rules
make no sense.
It makes no sense because if the whole point of all of this having replay is to get the call right, that's the biggest play of the game. That's the biggest play of the game. Pistons blew a double-digit lead. Cade had multiple chances, so the Pistons blew it, but that is the biggest play of the game. Take a look at it. Take a look, get it right, put Tim Hardaway at the line. He knocks him down, Pistons win the game. Yep. I mean, that's what makes it frustrating because then you release the 2-minute report afterwards. Oh, yeah, that should have been a foul. Well, then why? We have video replay. Why don't we get it right in the moment? If you're going to tell us afterwards that it should have been a foul call, that's what's frustrating with it. But it always goes back to, Jared, you said that other people, you can't put the game in the ref's hands. The 3 possessions before that, Cade missed a shot. Next possession, Cade had an awful turnover, dribbled it basically off his leg. And then on that possession, Cade missed really for him an easy shot at the free throw line that he makes 80% of the time. So they shouldn't have been in that position to begin with. And I kind of tweeted out, and I've said it. I'm a Cade fan. I think he's all NBA caliber. I think the Pistons are set up for the future with Cade Cunningham. This isn't criticism, but you can see where he has growth because you watch the Knicks, and I'm not a Knicks or Jalen Brunson fan, but that dude just makes big shot after big shot. Even Karl Anthony Towns was making big shot.
Those are the daggers. His
daggers, 100%.
Complete daggers. So you watch the Knicks, Brunson and Towns, take that game over, and that's where you want Cade to be if the Pistons are going to turn into legitimate championship contenders. Those 3 possessions right there, where the Knicks have come back, tied the game, even taken the lead. Cade, go get a bucket. That's what Kobe did in his prime. Obviously, that's what Michael Jordan did. That's what Steph Curry still does. That's what the greats do. And you're going to miss shots, of course. You're going to miss shots. But that's what's a little bit like, Cade, that next step. You're watching Brunson sit there and just bang, bang.
15 points in the fourth.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's insane. So that's, this is their first time in the playoffs with this unit. You're a young team. So I think that's where the growth can come.
And that's like and I don't think the series is done. I mean, if they could find somehow some way to win Game 5 tonight, then they're back at home again, which would be an awesome crowd, which it was for Games 3 and 4. They've shown me a lot in this series, even if they lose. Like one of my buddies, the second they lost, goes, "Oh well, they're going to lose this series. Back to the gulag for Pistons fans." Like what? No, to me, they've shown a lot. This team is so young. You look at the team like the Knicks have made all these trades and brought all this together. They're veterans. Like it's taken everything they have, some questionable calls, to even get by the Pistons. Where we have players on rookie deals, Asar Thompson, Cade Cunningham. We don't even have Jaden Ivey playing. Like they're
That's
showing
a big
a lot.
thing.
And the fact that they went down by 20 points in that Game 4, battled all the way back, like they've shown me a ton in this series. I'm excited for the future of the Pistons. We've teased the idea of maybe a Devin Booker coming and joining up. Like I can't wait to see what they do next year and for the years to come. Like this is a legitimate team that's going to be a force to be reckoned with, like for years to come. Like I've as the disappointing as these losses have been, I've felt good about how they're looking in the playoffs. And Cade has had good moments. Yeah, well, you wish that shot would have dropped, and he had a couple bad, like you laid out, Matt, a couple bad positions there at the end. But he's shown me a lot. The role players have came through in ways. Like I just think it's a fun team that's going to be very good for years to come.
Yeah,
I think I know you're jumping in, Ted. I think those two things, Jaden Ivey not being there, he hasn't been there for a long time, but that's a big part of their offense. I think so. That's hopefully he can come back from his injury and just be what he was before. And I'm not the biggest Isaiah Stewart. Pistons fans love beef stew, Isaiah Stewart, but him being hurt is a big deal because he would be able to body up Karl Anthony Towns.
Think about this, Matt. In game one, he was the only player with a plus minus that was positive. He was like +8. Everybody else was, -10, minus whatever. He was the only one of the positive plus minus in that game. Yeah. And then he hasn't played since.
And when you go from Jalen Duren and he's we like him, but Patrick Reed comes off the bench, that's not the same as Isaiah Stewart. I mean, Towns just cooks him. So, injuries happen. I'm not making excuses. Injuries happen. Everyone has injuries, but so to your point, Jared, the Pistons have shown something to what we've been saying since episode 1 of this podcast. The Pistons need to show this to get a Devin Booker, to get a superstar to come play, to take them over the top. So, because like right now, they can't compete with the Celtics. They can't compete with the Cavs. So they need to get a Devin Booker. They need to get that other superstar to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't like to compare teams and how they're built, but you can't help but look back at the Bad Boys when they started. They had Tripucka before they really became the Bad Boys, but Tripucka, and when they drafted Isaiah, the young guy, you could see that team. Then Lambeer, well, actually Kemp Benson at the beginning, and then they brought in Lambeer, but that team, you could see the pieces come together, and they were young and they were gelling, and then they'd get to they'd move their way up the ladder. They'd get to a point like the Pistons playing the Knicks. They're going to learn a lot from this series. No matter what happens, it's going to be good for the future. And if they can add a piece here and there, I really like this team as well. I mean, I like the way they play. I like the future. I like their coaching. it's fun. It's fun to be a Piston fan again.
Well, then what put the bad boys over the top? They had everything you just laid out, and then when they brought in Mark Aguirre,
Exactly.
when they brought in that veteran Mark Aguirre scorer, that's what put the bad boys over the top. And I mean, obviously other pieces too, Dennis Rodman and Joe Dumars and stuff. But like, I just, I was young, but I remember, and then now watching documentaries and stuff, Ted, you remember vividly when they brought in Mark Aguirre, that's what like took that team.
Yeah, very controversial too, because Dantley was a big time scorer, but it was the right move for that team. And then similar with the going to work Pistons, when they brought in Sheed, same kind of thing.
Yep.
That team was awesome, man. The more I like, they were all at the game, soaking it in. Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, all of those starting five guys. I'm like, dude, these guys are the coolest guys that's ever lived. Tayshaun Prince, Big Ben, like, I love those guys so much. You guys are lucky that you were right in the wheelhouse of that team, because that's basketball right there.
Absolutely. Real quick note, I noticed it on PTI yesterday. They were talking about it. Stan Love, former NBA player back in the day. I didn't realize he's the dad of Kevin Love and the brother of Mike Love of the Beach Boys. I mean, that was just kind of a cool stat.
And he passed away, right?
He passed away.
Passed away. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kevin Love's uncle is a Beach Boy?
Mike Love. Yeah, absolutely. Just a little
crazy.
trivia there for you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the NBA playoffs going to continue on into June, so we'll have lots to talk about there. But our Tigers, for a game or two, they were the best record in the American League. Now 18-11 after their loss last night to the Astros, but they're playing really good baseball. And again, we've talked about it before. It starts on the hill. Scooble's going to be, again, a Cy Young candidate, I think. And then, all their players are just buying in. They're playing well.
Yeah, they're playing well. And speaking of buying in, I mean, he's taken plenty of criticism, and rightfully so. But one guy is Javi Baez, and basically saying, whatever you need me to do, Hinch. You need me to play center field? Cool. You need me to DH? You need me to play third base? Cool. I'll do whatever you need. And that's the kind of stuff that you need from a team, especially with the injuries, with Parker Meadows being out and some other guys being out. You need some guys to do that. And Riley Green is one. He plays whatever position in the outfield. He's in left field sometimes, right field, center field. That's kind of cool to see. So, yeah, I mean, the Tigers, they're just playing really well. And we've said it the last couple of weeks. Torkelson is keeping it going. Starting pitching is keeping it going. So you got to hope that, I think Jared has said a time or two, and, we've all kind of said, they've got this hot start. Okay, cool. You've got this. You have to avoid that losing 8 out of 12 or, six game losing streak. You got to avoid that bad 2-week stretch that like drops you in the standings or something like that, because that can be hard to bounce back from. So yeah, they're there. They're at the top of the AL. They're at the top of the Central. So now, fingers crossed, no major injuries. Get the guys back that are already hurt, and yeah, this team's a real deal. I think it wasn't just a quick hot start. I think they're a really good team.
Yeah, keep knocking down those series and win that Central, and then we'll take our chances in the playoffs for sure.
Yep. Especially, I mean, when you have pitcher, when Flaherty's throwing the way he is, when Scooble's pitching the way he is, that's what you need. You got the hot pitching.
Absolutely. All right, let's take another short pause, and we'll come back with the Prep Spotlight right after this. All right, it's time for the Prep Spotlight, presented by Jacobs Insurance Agency, local, independent, and trusted. We'll start it off in baseball. Chesaning, wow, they pounded Byron 20-0 and 17-7. Wow. Brady Sager went 6 for 9 in the twin bill. Man, that's almost not fun, And I mean, it's fun for your team that's winning, but poor Byron.
When you're on the other side of that, especially, I mean, you're just like, get us out of here. Come on.
I know. Moving on to softball, Wasso and their Hall of Fame head coach, Joe Ellen Smith, they downed Brandon 15-2 and 12-2. Bella Harris struck out 12 in game 1. Danica Dwyer went 6 for 9 on the day. The Trojans improved to 11-3 on the season. Also in softball, Perry swept Saranac as Sarah Austin got both wins in that one for the Ramblers. I didn't have much on the Perry baseball team, Matt, but anything new to report there?
Not necessarily anything new. Just that I'm trying to think. They played Schoolcraft, I think, at the end of last week, and Split, I'm pretty sure is what I saw. So still just playing well.
Good. In track and field, girls, New Lothrop beat Byron and Lakeville in a triangular as Caitlin Wendling led the way, winning the 100 and 200. Chesaning beat Ovid Elsie and Montrose as Cora Ushton had a hand in 4 wins. On the boys' side, Chesaning also beat OE and Montrose as Zach Harlan swept the 100 and 200, and Owasso edged Goodrich 74-63 as Max Beatty won 4 events, the 100, 200, 400, and pole vault. That's a pretty good afternoon right there. That's putting up Bruce Jenner type of stats.
That's a T-Slot performance, man. Doing it all. Yeah,
absolutely. Also, Corunna boys and girls beat Lake Fenton on the Blue Devil track. Isaac Jacobs won the 100 and 200, and Abigail Bowles won both events for the girls. You think at the Jacobs family, the 2 long distance runners, Noah and his brother Ben, you think that they chased Isaac, and that's where Isaac got his sprinter speed from?
There's something in the genetics, man. Those guys can run like the wind. It's funny that it's cool to see that he's like more of a sprinter, whereas they were distance. It's like, they cover all the bases, man, on any sort of relay. They could light it up. So
absolutely.
I mean, maybe that was part of it. He watched his brothers and, family or whatever, long distance. I don't want to do that. I'm going to sprint. I'm going to be the contrarian. You guys are long distance. I'm sprinting.
There you go. In girls soccer, Corunna got their first W of the season, beating Carmen Ainsworth 2-1 on Marina Purdue's penalty kick, and Langsburg down Perry 7-0 to improve to 9-1. In golf, on the boys' side, Duran down Mount Morris 183-256. Logan Schubart led the way with a 44. Give tennis a little love here. See what I did with that. Corunna beat Brandon 5-3 as Kyra Middleton and Katie Janicek led the way at number 1 doubles, and Ovid Elsie beat Leslie 7-1 as number 1 singles player Eliana Carmen led the way. Just a little highlight for the schedule this week in track and field. Wednesday night, April 30th, Owasso travels to Corunna for a track meet. Noah Jacobs returns to Nicanese Stadium as the OHS girls coach. That's going to be a funny feeling for him, I'm sure, coming back home.
That is cool.
Yeah, it's like Lane Kiffin going back to Tennessee, man.
Yeah, that's right. And then also, they have it every year. It's really well done. On Friday, May 2nd, the Corunna Cavaliers Classic. They really do it up right when they put that big tournament together, and it's a lot of excitement, and a lot of different schools participate in that. So looking forward to that. Hopefully the weather holds out for Friday so they can have a good turnout in fans.
Are you going to go up and check that out?
I would if I was in town, but I'm actually going to be out of town. So
Gotcha.
Going to have to pass on that one.
Yeah, those big track meets. I mean, like a dual meet, if it's a school you really want to watch is okay. That's fun. But the big meets are the ones that there's just constant events going on.
Yep.
Just sit up there at the top of the bleachers and, just enjoy all the action. Those track meets are fun.
That's been the Prep Spotlight presented by Jacobs Insurance, and we'll finish off the podcast with some Tedertainment Tonight right after this. All right, I'm going to jump in here first, guys. I should have listened to Jared. I checked out Black Mirror. It's something I've been wanting to look at and see, and it just piqued my interest. He says, "Well, you should start watching with episode 7 because some of the other episodes are hit and miss." And I said, "Well, I'm kind of anal, I got OCD. I got to start with the very first episode, work my way up." First episode, let me tell you, if you haven't heard of it or haven't seen it, it is wild. It's one of the wildest things I have ever seen on television. And just to set the stage a little bit, it starts off with the British Prime Minister. He's woken up to a disturbing video. And in the video, he sees the Princess of England has been abducted and was going to be allegedly murdered, and the kidnapper is given some demands, what he wants the Prime Minister to do.
Right.
I'm not going to get into what it was, but it was absolutely crazy. And I can see why people would be turned off by that first episode, but to be honest with you, I couldn't stop watching it. And I was laughing. I was going, "Oh my God," stuff like that. It was insane.
That first episode is wild, and that's the perfect way to start Black Mirror. To me, it's just like I for example, there's a new season out that just came out, I think last week, and I watched an episode last night, spent an hour watching it. At the end of it, I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever watched in my life. And that's the thing with Black Mirror. It's either the dumbest thing you ever watched, or it's a thought-provoking, well spent hour. There's really no in between. So that's, you are willing to hit the roulette wheel every time. Whereas I was just willing to say, hey, if you watch this one episode, if you think this is something you're into, I can send you a list of 15, 20 episodes that I think are great.
Right.
But you went rogue, man. Your OCD, as you said, you had to go one by one. So
How many have you watched since then? Just two. The second one also was very bizarre, but I thought it was thought provoking. So I'm going to stick with it. It's one of those shows that it's quirky. You never know what these writers are coming up with. So I'll stick with it. I like that kind of entertainment that's off the wall. Even that first episode, for the shock value, it still was pretty. It was okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, it's on season 7 now.
Season 7. Wow, that's a lot to catch up on. So, I mean, you started at episode 1. Is it the kind of series that, I mean, you kind of just said it, but
it's standalone.
You have to start at episode 1?
Nope, each episode's standalone. It kind of, like I texted Jared from way back in my day, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Twilight Zone. Every episode was different, kind of had that kind of feel to it. So,
not even like characters don't carry over. Like it's
basically it's all just mini movies, like 50 to hour 20 movies. A couple of them have a couple of them are like 2 parts. A couple of them are sequels, that come back later in seasons. For season 7, I will say there's been one with Paul Giamatti that was awesome, and mostly that was awesome because it's Giamatti just being the man. Other than that, I've thought it's been a little underwhelming of a season. I think there's still one I haven't watched, but yeah, it's hit or miss, man. But when that show is right, it's some of the best TV you can watch.
Mm-hmm. See, that's the kind of show, like I'm not about to watch 7 seasons of it, but if you gave me a top 5 episodes of Black Mirror, I'll go watch. I'm not gonna. I appreciate you, Ted, going all the way back and starting from the beginning, but no, I would take maybe like the top 5 episodes and watch that.
Jared, would you put that episode 1 on your list at all?
That's one of the most notable ones. It's not one of my favorites, but my girlfriend likes that episode. So and that's the thing. It is people have different tastes, and basically what I could do is I could just tell you, do not watch this one, do not watch that one. There's one I just watched in season 7. It's about this guy and this computer game that take over. It's like, what even is this dumb stuff? This doesn't even make sense, man. It's so stupid that it makes you angry. But I almost don't like watching Black Mirror because sometimes even the good episodes, they leave you in a bad mood afterward. I don't know how else to put it. It sticks with you, and it's you can't shake the feeling of how it made you feel. Made you question technology, made you question maybe something in your life. It's just, it's the feeling after you watch something like that. Where
you don't want to watch it right before going to bed, or you're not going to sleep.
You just lay there staring at the ceiling, what am I doing with my life after watching that?
Well, I have a bit of a positive one that I'll go through real quick. It's actually an audiobook, which maybe this is the first time there's ever been an audiobook recommended on Tedertainment. Usually it's murder mysteries, or I don't even know what I normally provide. Something that's
it fits the category.
Yeah. But it's called The Baseball 100. It's this book by Joe Posnanski. This guy is a wizard with the pen. I'm not even a huge baseball guy, but how he writes this book. So basically what it is, it's 100 most important baseball players in professional, not even just MLB, it's Negro League players in there, basically in baseball history. And each chapter is a different player that he highlights, 10 to 20 minutes on each guy. And the way he writes it, dude, it's how baseball makes you feel. It's like reading the Field of Dreams or something, like that feeling you get, how can you not be romantic about baseball, the mythology, the nicknames, he just gets it. I don't know how to explain it. It's what's one of the best books I've ever read. And it makes you realize wow, the power of the written word is impressive, what it can do. So for example, it gives you something to take away on each guy. For example, I just wrote down a few, this is nuts. I texted Ted about this because this is this guy, Mr. Tiger. Al Kaline. I've been a Tiger fan my whole life, man. I never knew this story. So in his final game, he's sitting at 399 career home runs. I believe it was on July 4th. It was when this final game was. He subs himself out before his final at bat when there's this sold out crowd watching him play his final game. Subs himself out because he's got a sore shoulder. I mean, you talk I texted it to him in a very pointed way because I knew it'd get a reaction.
Yeah, you did do it. You always like to do that dagger.
You talk about a coward's way out. For Mr. Tiger, his final game, he's getting booed by Tiger fans. Mr. Tiger, like let's just pause right there real quick. But for each guy he writes about in this book, he gives you something to take away, like almost like a story to tell to somebody. For example, like Warren Spahn, great story about him. And these are people I don't even care about. I don't even know who they were until I start reading the book. So Warren Spahn would not beam people, like basically just a good dude, would not beam batters. He is a manager when he very first started his career. His manager demands him to beam this guy. He wouldn't do it. Guy goes up to Warren Spahn. Manager goes up to him. You're never going to make it in this league. You have no guts. Warren Spahn goes, you do realize I got the bronze medal at the Battle of the Bulge, right? Like, it's just like there's so many amazing stories about each of these guys. Like, I can keep going. Wait, one more. Wade Boggs. So Wade Boggs, talk about just a POS move here. At the end of his career, Roger Clemens is in pursuit of like his 4th straight Cy Young. This happened at Tiger Stadium. There's a play that happens at third base. They ruled an error, and 2 or 3 unearned runs get added to, or basically score in this inning because of this quote unquote error. After the game, he goes to the stat keeper, basically bitches him out, says, that's not an error. Did you like not watch the game? The stat keeper admits he didn't watch the play that close. Roger Clemens' ERA goes up another like 0.7 in the middle of this like Cy Young season, just because he didn't want an error on his record. It's like it goes down the list, man. I got a lot of another ones. Well, last one, 2 more I'll say real quick. Phil Niekro, we know him because of the knuckleball. Did you know that in his last game, he finished with 300 career wins. In his last game, he threw a complete shutout where the only time he threw a knuckleball was for the final pitch for a strikeout. Basically just to prove to people, like, I'm not just a knuckleball thrower. Like, I could be doing this all along. I'm not just a knuckleball thrower. How about this one for off the wall? Shedeur, basically a Japanese baseball player. Hit 55 home runs in a season. It's a majestic record in Japan. Like, if you remember Hideki Matsuyama, is it Matsui or what was his name for the Yankees? Yeah, he wore 55 because of this record. Like, it's a big deal. So back in the day, there was an American-born player. I wish I remembered the name. Basically, was like a 1 home run away from breaking it with like 6 games to play. The last 6 games of that season were against Shedeur O's team that he was managing. They didn't pitch to him the entire series. Like, basically walked him every at bat. And it's been like this whole thing in his career ever since. Like, man, they never pitched to that guy. And this majestic 55 home run record like still stands to this day. I think it finally got broke. But anyway, so there's a few of the ones that I could keep going. I listed off about 5 more. This book is awesome, dude. I'm not even a baseball guy, and I'm like, I can't stop listening to it. It's like the guy who reads the audio book. I wish I wrote down his name. The voice of like an angel, like James Earl Jones in Field of Dreams. It's almost like this guy is reading the book. It's magic. And Joe Posnanski, I mean, talk about a dream guest on this show. I don't know if it's possible, but my God, he's
Reach
the
out
man.
to him.
He's a
Reach
great
out
one.
to him, man. Definitely. I mean, and you have become a baseball guy for a number of different reasons. You maybe not always have been,
Right.
but
Right.
sounds like a great book, and that's right up my alley. I mean, that's right up my alley. I mean, yeah, you give me the little dig about K-Line. I almost forgot about that, but really the only reason he was playing was trying to get the number 400. But in hindsight, I wouldn't use the word coward, but he regrets that he probably didn't do that. You know, another big story is probably in that book about Ted Williams. Never would acknowledge the Boston fans, never would tip his hat. That was the big controversy. His last at bat hits a home run, you know, a historical home run for all time. Refused to come out and acknowledge the crowd. I mean, that was an all-time story.
I don't think I've gotten to his chapter yet, but I'll be.
Did it ever come out why he was like that? I forget.
I forget too, Matt, but he just never did, which was very bizarre. I don't know if he had some problems with the fans early on in his career, maybe.
Right.
I don't know, but
Al Kaline, it's funny that you said, like, does he regret it? He says, like, he doesn't regret it.
Really?
He said basically he gave baseball all he had. That's how he describes it. The only thing he regrets is the like 25-year-old kid who had to go sub in for him to pinch hit and how he got booed to oblivion. He's like, he feels bad.
Ben Ogilvy.
Yeah.
Be forever remembered as the guy that pinch hit for Al Kaline in his last game.
Can you imagine that though? Like, I think about Miguel Cabrera's career down the stretch, like that last game. If he would have got pinch hit for, it is like, it's kind of amazing. It's not more of a story, man. Like how I never knew that. Like that is crazy that happened.
Right.
To be honest with you, you know, I loved Al Kaline as a player. I mean, he was my guy, man. But to be honest, he was a little salty. I mean, he had a little attitude to him.
Well, there's a great story where he, the Briggs, the former owner, wouldn't give him. Briggs ripped him in the newspaper. So, quote unquote, Mr. Tiger, which was only a few Mr. There's Mr. Padre, Tony Gwynn, who else? There, Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks. Like,
Mr.
so
October.
apparently earlier in his career, when Al Kaline was really taking off, like he held out for his contract. Basically, wanted more money. Briggs went to the newspaper, goes, "Yeah, he's being ungrateful. I didn't even get a Christmas card from him this year." Sure enough, next he has to settle for this like deal with Briggs that basically undercut him, wasn't what his value was. Fans just boo him into oblivion the second he comes back. It's just funny, man. You think Mr. Tiger, like, wow, he must have been beloved his whole career. It's like, no, he actually maybe wasn't. So
yeah, I think there's a lot of that kind of stuff. I mean, because back in the day, there wasn't the 24-hour news cycle, social media, and all that. So he was Mr. Tiger because of how good he was on the field. All the off the field stuff didn't necessarily make all the headlines. No, baseball is a sport that even if you're a sports fan, if you don't care about sports at all, then yeah, you wouldn't care. But if you're just a general sports fan, a book like that, there are just so many stories. Baseball is just so much history, the characters. I mean, it went, the sport going through world wars, and some of the athletes, I mean, Ted Williams being one, had to go fight, for the country and stuff. And there's just the stories with baseball are, I mean, look at you said you can't even put the book down. The stories with baseball are super interesting and cool.
Absolutely. What's the name of the book again? What's the name again, Jared?
Baseball 100, Joe Posnanski. I like people read. It's a book. Obviously, I like the audiobook. I go for a walk every morning. It's like it's how I start my day. It's soothing, man.
What is the baseball? Is it like 100 chapters or 100 players?
100 players.
Like
so
he picked 100 players.
And that's kind of what makes you. It's like, man, who's gonna be the next chapter? Like, even if there's a chapter, it's like I don't really care about this guy. You are like waiting to get through that chapter so you can get to the next guy.
Right.
And it gives you an appreciation. Like for me, I'm not a baseball history nut. I don't know anything about it, but it's like it makes you appreciate certain guys. Like even Reggie Jackson, classic story. Basically, the A's owner. A's ownership has been horrible forever. The A's owner back when he was just taking off, like he held out for a contract. The A's owner wouldn't pay him. Reggie Jackson's in the middle of a slump. He finally pinch hits in like the bottom of the 9th inning, hits a walk-off home run, crosses the bases, takes off his helmet, looks up at the owner's box, goes, "F you." The owner basically, it's just like stuff like that. Like, man, this guy was the man. Like he ruled. Like so, there's it's how he starts these chapters. It's like he'll tee something up, and then you'll kind of forget about it, and then he'll come back to it like the last paragraph of this player's chapter, and like tie it off with a majestic ending to each player.
That's cool.
It's impressive.
I'll definitely be checking that out.
It's worth checking out, especially the audiobook, like you said. Ted, you're out on the pontoon, just play the audiobook in the background, sit there and have a nice little cocktail and listen to Baseball 100.
Oh, I got a long trip coming up, so I think I might just do that in the car. That'd be a great way to pass time, without a doubt.
You'll make that trip. It'll go by like that.
Amen. By the way, I got one other thing. You got something to jump in with, Matt?
Yeah, I was just going to say real quick, I'm still catching up on White Lotus. I know we've talked about it a bunch on here, but we're slowly making our way through season 3. I can see the criticism that it received compared to the first 2 seasons. It started off a little slower. Maybe some of the stories weren't, or early on haven't been as interesting as previous seasons, but it's picking up now. I think we're through episode 4 and it's starting to heat up or whatever. So now it's kind of rolling and we want to get through it. But season 3 definitely started slower than the previous 2 seasons. I can see it'll end well though, like you guys said.
Oh yeah. You'll like the last episode, I think, if you stick with the whole thing, without a doubt.
100%.
We went from books to TV shows. How about music? Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has been announced. Bad Company.
Grand Funk make it?
They did not. They did not. Bad Company, Chubby Checker, Joe Cocker. How was Joe Cocker not already in the Hall of Fame? Well, Chubby Checker for also.
Right.
It's unreal. And then Cyndi Lauper, Soundgarden, White Stripes. The White Stripes out of Detroit.
That's cool.
It's great, but there's so many people that have been omitted. I think they deserve it, but first ballot
dumb,
into
man.
the
I
Hall
didn't
of
realize
Fame.
it was like I don't even know if they vote on it or what, but I didn't even realize that it's actually like that's so dumb of me not to realize that it was like classes get voted in every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
White Stripes is White Stripes is definitely my generation. I was never a huge fan, but I was a fan, especially them being from Detroit. But
Jack White.
them making it on first ballot is a little bit like, a little head scratcher. It's not a shot. Good for them.
Well, they've evolved. Originally, it was just rock and roll. It really
Right.
is the Music Hall of Fame. I mean, for God's sakes, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then Dolly Parton gets in, right? I mean,
Right.
does she deserve to be in? Of course, a Music Hall of Fame as a songwriter and as a country artist. But think about this: some of the omissions. I did write a few down here. Female singers. Mariah Carey's not in. She had 19 number one hits. 19.
Right.
How do you not put her in? Diana Ross, she's in it with the Supremes, but she should be in as a solo artist as well. She kind of set the whole stage for diva artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You guys might not even know this one, Thin Lizzy. I mean, they had some great hits, hard rockers. They were really good. They kind of changed the face of hard rock. Jethro Tull. I can't believe Jethro Tull's not in. And again, our always go to. How can Grand Funk Railroad? I mean, they were top of the charts for 5 or 6 years.
Right.
Out of Flint. I don't understand it. And this one's kind of it might sound funny, but the Monkees, they deserve to be in there. I mean, they had hit after hit in the day and age of the Beatles. They were talked about like the Beatles. Yeah, they were a manufactured group. They didn't write their own stuff, but they had a lot of great music.
Wow, so they're just a corporate, like whatever they call it. Anyway, so where does the line get drawn though? If Mariah Carey's getting in, okay, well then now we got to let in, I don't know, Dr. Dre. Now we got to like what?
Right.
So
that's what I was just looking up. This was a dumb question, but I was going to ask: is Michael Jackson in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? And he is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like, okay, obviously he's one of the greatest artists ever. But right, is he necessarily rock and roll? I don't. So right, Dolly Parton being in, but not Mariah Carey. Like,
yeah, they should change the name. It's that simple. I mean, Salt and Pepper just got inducted. I mean, Salt and Pepper, really?
Right.
Okay. Outcast was pretty good. Right. Hall of Fame? I don't know.
Outcast rule. Don't even no.
Really?
Outcast definitely deserves to be in over the Monkees, in my opinion.
Outcast
is they're not even talented.
Yeah, Outkast is pretty iconic. Again, though, if you're calling it the rock and roll, I mean, they're like hip hop, R&B, rap,
right?
Because it's kind of like the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's the best. It's not the NBA Hall of Fame. It's the basketball. International basketball. All of that. That it's almost they need to. I mean, they would have to rebrand the whole thing.
Yeah,
but it almost needs to just be like just the I don't know what you would call it, Music Hall of Fame. But then that opens it up. Now you gotta go through and get everyone in because there's probably 20 country artists that should make it in. There's probably a bunch of R&B artists that should make it in. Now you got to go through hip hop and rap and get all, like you said, Jared, Dr. Dre, and some of these other, so.
Well, once they started letting them in that were not rock and roll, they opened up. They opened it up now, right?
Yep.
So anything goes in music, I guess. But
yeah, I wonder why. Again, she deserves it, but I wonder why Dolly Parton made it in. I would be curious what the criteria was for her to make it in and not some of the ones that you just listed.
Yeah, good question. I'm not sure. But then she said, I don't deserve it. So she comes out and makes a rock and roll album with a bunch of cameos. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's why she's in, because she rules. She's awesome.
She is awesome.
Will someone like Taylor Swift make it in? Is she rock and roll? But her music has evolved. She started country, now she's more pop. But will she make it in? Do you think at some point? Probably should.
100%. 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No question.
Sounds like they just have a branding issue. Sounds like they are letting people in. It's just they haven't. They just because it's such a strong name, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, they got the Rock and Roll Is that the same thing? Like the cafes are a part of that, or?
It's kind of similar. Rock and Roll, the cafes have all the memorabilia.
It's a great name. And I think once they realized that the rock and roll isn't really even a thing anymore, they probably said, yeah, we got to start opening up our horizons here.
Yeah, and if you've never gone to it, it really is a great museum in Cleveland, right on the waterfront. I mean, it's a little pricey to get in. If I remember last time, it was like $30 to get in. But I mean, they got all this memorabilia from all these stars. It's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I have. I do want to, since we were on the topic of music, we haven't promoted this in recent podcasts, but Chi-Town, our boys, they're going to have an acoustic evening this coming Saturday, May 3rd, 7 to 10 o'clock at Willowbrook Golf Club in Byron. Go on out and check them out. You know, I think seating's somewhat limited, so definitely get on over there and see the boys. I've seen their acoustic shows before. It's really cool.
That would be so acoustic. Kind of. Is Casey going to play? Do you play drums in acoustic?
Yeah, he plays like on a beatbox type of thing.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the terminology, but
like bongos, like
Kinda.
but they're not bongos, but
Right.
they're like hand drums. I don't know.
Yeah, because I was going to say I don't think acoustic. There's not full on drums.
I didn't know they did that, man. That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, it really shows off their talent for sure. All right, I guess we've made it through another podcast, guys. We got stuff to do here on this Tuesday, but a special thanks goes out to Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center. Make sure you follow them on Facebook for more details. And again, congrats on the new addition, opening their new urgent care facility in the old Rite Aid building. Also want to thank our other partners, AZee Branding Solutions, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori Shook and Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, Shiawassee County Fair. Before you know it, it's going to be fair time, and ALS of Michigan. Peace and love, everybody. Be kind. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time.